I haven't used Carmelo Anthony in the intro of a video in a while, so shout out to Mello. He's a good dude. I know he watches my videos. He DM'd me on Twitter once to congratulate me for 60k subs, which, by the way, thank you all for that one. But why am I showing Carmelo Anthony in the beginning? Well, he's a star player, and Paul George is also a star player. Slight voice crack there. I don't want to talk about star players in this video. I want to talk about the guys who are not the top dudes on their team, maybe not the second or third best players, but they're sort of the X factor, the guy who kind of makes the team work, but if you're not actually a fan of that team, then you might not appreciate that certain player as much. And we're going to be starting with the Pacific Division of the Western Conference, the Golden State Warriors, Phoenix Suns. Shout out to Eric Bledsoe for having a pretty damn good season, even if that team overall has a few years to go. There's the Los Angeles Lakers. Julius Randle has definitely improved, and that Lakers team is very fun. There's the Los Angeles Clippers. By the way, Luc Mbah-a-Moute might be the X factor for them. And then finally, the Sacramento Kings. Oh yes, they can have an underappreciated thing as well. Now, this isn't necessarily an underrated video, so some of the guys I'm naming here, you might not be shocked, but I feel it's still worth talking about. We're going to start with the Los Angeles Clippers. There's DeAndre Jordan. Chris Paul is still one of the best point guards in the NBA today for his overall game and his leadership. Blake Griffin is awesome, even though he can't jump as high as he once could. I'm going to give this to JJ Reddick, however, because the amount of spacing that JJ provides for the Clippers to allow Chris Paul to run pick and rolls with Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan, for them to run their horn set that's still almost impossible to defend for everyone outside of the Golden State Warriors. A lot of that is possible because of the spacing JJ Reddick provides, because you can see Chris Paul doing his thing, making your big man or whoever that gets switched on to him look like a fool, and you really want to bring help defense, but you got the white guy chilling on the wing, and you're like, if I leave this dude, it's 3 points on the board. I guess I just have to stay on an island. Can we also credit JJ Reddick for how much cooler he's gotten as the NBA, or as his career has gone along? I mean, he entered the league as like a spot shooter who couldn't do anything else, and then he learned how to dribble, then he learned how to pass, and then he that was his thing, and now he's up to like 15 efficient points per game, knocking down jumpers, but now like his hair's really nice and he has a tattoo. Like, Reddick, you gotta stop, man. You've already gotten better as a player, now you look too damn cool. Anyway, he's the X factor of the Clippers. Let's get on to the next team before I sound too foolish here. The Phoenix Suns. I like the order I'm going in. I went from the second best team to the worst team in the division. I like what I'm doing here. Eric Bledsoe is a very good player. Devin Booker's exciting. But this team sucks. So I want the X factor of this team to be someone looking towards the future. And that guy is Alex Len at the center spot. Look, we know Eric Bledsoe's good. We know Booker's good. We know TJ Warren is good. Dragan Bender as well as Marquise Chris have some promise. The center position's wide open. Tyson Chandler's not going to be there forever. Even then, he's not the guy that he once was, even if he is a strong rebounder. Is Alex Len good? Sometimes he looks like a big body who can be a presence down low, run the floor well, finish inside pretty well, and just overall be a guy who just plays well at being big. And then other times he looks like a friggin' potato. He can't catch the ball. He seems like a jellyfish when it comes to defending at the rim. And he just seems like a guy who's not really meant to be in the league. So which one is it, okay? Is he going to be able to make a real impact and look like he belongs? Or is he just going to be some center who comes off the bench for 10 to 15 minutes a game? Basically, is he going to become Jonas Valanciunas, or is he going to remain Costa Koufos? I think it could go either way. The one thing he has going for him is the rebounding. He is a very good rebounder, but you have to do more than just that. And I think, depending on his growth or lack of it, that could really dictate the next couple of seasons for the Phoenix Suns. And for that reason, Alex Len makes this video. This defense right here is sometimes the story with him, unfortunately. I mean, we've heard talks about them wanting to get Nerlens Noel or whatever. The reason that is because Tyson Chandler's old, and they look at Alex Len and they're like, I don't know if this guy's good. He can prove him wrong. I don't know. Has he ever caught an alley-oop? Now time for the Golden State Warriors. You knew these guys were going to be here, probably because I said it in the intro of the video. Steph Curry's a beast. He's most loved or most hated, depending on who you are. Klay Thompson shoots the ball a lot. which is the most basic analysis of a shooting guard you've ever heard. Kevin Durant has fit in very nicely to what they're doing. Now, you could look at them and you could say that Draymond Green is the X factor, and that is a valid opinion, and I definitely almost went there, but I like being a weirdo. I'm going to go with Andre Iguodala. Iggy. He hates the nickname Iggy, so don't call him that. If you ever meet him in real life, call him Andre. I've met him on more than one occasion, of course. What I love about Iguodala, he just has an all-around game for a bench player. He averaged like 3 assists last season, and that's always been one emphasis of his game, is making sure everybody else around him is getting the ball. They acquired him to be another ball handler, and he can definitely do that for the Warriors. He's also grabbed around 3 rebounds a game for a while for the Warriors coming off the bench, so he's perfectly content with that role player position off the bench for them, and he flourishes in it. He embraces it, even if this season he's been a little But he's also a smart offensive player as well, although he occasionally does some goofy stuff. He's very competent when it comes to flowing within an offense. And given that the Warriors have so many guys willing to shoot with Curry and Clay and Durant, it's nice to have that one guy who's like, you know what, I'm content with putting up 5 points tonight. He's also been a decent 3-point shooter for them in the past at 35%, contributing to the small ball lineup of death, and all that's awesome. And then there's the defense, which is Iguodala's real calling card. For a long time, he was one of the best defensive players in the league. This season, depending on the game you catch, he might be slacking a little bit. I'm going to expect that once the postseason comes around and the Warriors are in some tighter games, some closer games, Charles Barkley is yelling at them a little bit more, that's when Iguodala is going to be asked to be defending some of the top players in the league, and I think he's going to show up. Now, for anyone on my channel who's been around here long enough, you might be thinking, this is just an excuse for you to talk about Andre Iguodala. And to that I say, you are 100% correct. He's been one of my favorite players in the league for a while. He's pretty good, man. He does a good job for Golden State. He's a good guy, and he fits the mold of Golden State without being overbearing. We got to get to the Sacramento Kings, and oh yes, these guys can have an X factor too. Just because their situation is up in the air, and personally, I don't think DeMarcus Cousins should be on the team past this season for him and the Kings organization. But as of right now, Darren Collison allows that whole system, if it is a system, to kind of work, as he's great at absolutely nothing, but good at everything. And it's nice to have just one piece of consistency for the Sacramento Kings. A franchise that's so in flux, a team that has 36-year-old Matt Barnes, Rudy Gay, who's improved, but it hasn't really shown in the record books too much, DeMarcus Cousins, who might get ejected one game. It's nice to have Darren Collison's 13 points and 5 assists on some nice efficiency, as well as some disciplined defense night in and night out. Is Darren Collison my first choice as a point guard? No. And if I go down the list of every starter in the league, he might end up at like 17th or 18th or something. But he's efficient from everywhere, he knows how to make the right play, and he also has an impact off the ball to where you can actually run some sort of offense with him running around screens. He can play in the pick and roll. Just a nice, solid overall player. He also picks his spots offensively. You can find times where he will attack the basket and be able to actually finish and get to the free throw line, where he shoots 84%. So in a team that is just the model of inconsistency, it's nice to have the opposite of that at the point guard position. Is he going to be on the team for that much longer? Nah, they might be going through a hard rebuild. Or maybe they don't. I don't frickin' know with them. And now finally, oh yeah, we had to get the black screen for this one. Maybe I'll kick up some epic music, I don't know. The Los Angeles Lakers. This one's a big deal. I got to prepare myself. It's Swaggy P. Nick Young is the friggin' X factor of the Luke Walton Los Angeles Lakers. And I never thought I was going to be saying that. He went from Swaggy P to Uncle P as Nick has matured. The hair is still wild as all hell, but hey, do your thing. He's playing defense, man. He's picking the guy that he's got to defend. He's fighting through screens. He's staying disciplined. He's not getting lazy on that side of the floor. He's even like barking at other people, telling them to get into position on defense. And as a result, like, he's playing 20 plus minutes a night every single game for the Lakers. He's starting for these guys. And of course, some of this should be said to Luke Walton for the job that he's done as a head coach, but Nick Young clearly made it an incentive upon himself to play defense this season so he could definitely be an NBA player, because there were some talks like, is this guy going to be out of the league? Is he going to be, the 12th man on a bench? Oh no, he's here. But not only that, he's still maintaining his three-point shot. Think of this one for a second. Nick Young is a 3-and-D player. Did you ever think you were going to say that? He was definitely a 3 player. He could definitely knock down an outside shot, sometimes be a little bit erratic, but ultimately be a nice shooter from outside. He's also efficient from everywhere. Shout out to Nick Young, man. I mean, how many times have you seen a guy get better at the age of 31 years old? Hey, you know what? If I ever do another role-play all-star team, Nick Young's probably going to be on it. He's playing great for the Lakers. And besides Nick Young, we have Alex Len, who could end up being the mayor of Phoenix or the second coming of Nick Collison for being an all-time bench player. There's Darren Collison, who kind of reminds me of the one quiet person at Thanksgiving dinner while everybody else is just freaking out about food, football, or politics. That was a hell of an analogy for you. JJ Reddick, who, he shoots three-pointers, man. I have no clever saying for him. Shout out to JJ, he's a good dude. And then finally, Andre Iguodala, who might be slumping this year, but the heart of hearts tell me my favorite NBA player is still going to come through.